EVO.
Welcome back to the Devil's Ledger for the week of April 13th, and we begin with a safe return. To our brave astronauts, welcome home from your journey around the moon. Truly an extraordinary feat, the kind that reminds us just how far we've come and how much we still don't understand. And listen, if on that long arc through the darkness, you happen to see something you can't quite explain, don't keep it to yourselves. We can handle it. Probably. Back here on Earth, a very different kind of launch is underway, and I want to say a sincere thank you to my early Patreon subscribers. You're the first ones through the door, and that matters. You're helping me build something that goes deeper than this public feed, and I want this to be as valuable as possible for you, so don't be shy. Tell me what you want. Tell me what's working. Tell me what isn't. We're doing this together. Now, on to the show. We begin, as always, with the creepiest thing I heard this week. Now, what I heard this week, it didn't come from a book or an archive or a Google search, or even a late-night internet spiral. It came from a real place, the kind of place where the air feels heavier for reasons no one can quite articulate. See, I was in Seattle for a live podcast event for another show I produced called The Shadow Girls, and at the meet and greet afterwards, a local asked me if I'd ever heard of a place called Starvation Heights. Now, that name alone feels like something invented to keep children from wandering too far into the trees, but it isn't. I was obviously intrigued, so I looked into it, and this will eventually become a deeper dive of a bigger story. But for now, here's what I'll tell you. Early 1900s, a woman named Linda Burfield Hazzard operated a health retreat, though calling it that feels generous, if not actually obscene. Now, Hazzard wasn't a licensed physician, but she claimed that she could cure virtually anything through prolonged fasting, and people believed her. Not fringe, desperate cases either. Wealthy, educated individuals traveled from across the country to put their lives in her hands. What they found instead was something closer to a slow-motion execution. Patients were subjected to extreme starvation regimes, weeks, sometimes months, with little more than broth or juice. They became skeletal, weak, disoriented. Some couldn't walk, others couldn't speak. And yet, according to the woman that I spoke with, Hazzard would tell them that this was part of the healing process, that their bodies were purging toxins, that the suffering meant the cure was working. It wasn't. People began to die, and not one or two, enough that the surrounding community started asking questions. Bodies were buried on the property. Families stopped hearing from their loved ones. And still, somehow, it continued. The place earned its name, Starvation Heights, not from legend, but from repetition. Eventually, authorities stepped in. Hazzard was charged, convicted, though not for the full scope of what had happened there, and she served time. But after her release, unbelievably, she returned to practicing. Different name, same philosophy, as if the land itself hadn't already made its opinion clear. But here's where it turns from disturbing to something else entirely. The local woman I spoke with told me that people still avoid certain parts of the property, not out of respect, but just out of instinct. Hikers report feeling watched, sudden drops in temperature, the sense that you've stepped somewhere you weren't meant to. And there are stories, always stories, figures between the trees, voices when no one's there. Easy to dismiss until you're standing in the middle of it, realizing just how many people suffered and died in that exact place. You start to wonder what lingers when death isn't sudden, but slow, deliberate, starved into existence. Maybe it's nothing, or maybe some places don't forget. And maybe, if you stand there long enough, they don't let you forget either. This week on The Devil Within, we're bringing you a two-part series on the Beast of Bladenboro, a vicious, canine-like predator that tore through the farmland of North Carolina for 6 weeks. Dogs, livestock, wild animals, all found drained of blood, completely. And what makes this one linger isn't just the folklore, it's the witnesses. Veterinarians, law enforcement, people who saw the aftermath, and in some cases, the thing itself? A vampire, a cryptid, or something far more mundane that we've dressed up to survive the telling? You decide. On the Ides of April, we begin a new series chronicling the life and still unsolved assassination of Swedish Prime Minister Olof Palme in 1986. A killing in the open, a suspect list that spirals into the absurd, and decades later, no definitive answers. History doesn't always close its books neatly. Taboo Treasures remains dark. We'll leave it there for now. On Criminal Mischief, Carolyn continues her deep dive into Hollywood, the Seattle-based bank robber who somehow managed to become a kind of Robin Hood figure, despite the small detail that he just kept all the money. Myth-making is a powerful thing, especially when the truth is far less flattering. And yes, Josh Wolf still showing up, man, on Finding Me. For you, sure, but mostly for himself. He's just letting you watch. The show is also finding an audience, and it makes sense. It's hard to keep something that honest, that exposed, hidden for long. So follow the show and tell your friends. Or don't, but you really probably should. This week in horror, a movie called The Yeti arrives on Amazon Prime and Apple TV. A search and rescue mission in the Alaskan wilderness goes completely off the rails when the team encounters something ancient, something that was there long before them. You know what it is. And if my episode on that particular legend is any indication, I have a feeling that a lot of you will be watching as well. And we'll leave you, as always, with a line to carry into the week. Oh, give us pleasure in the flowers today. That's Robert Frost from A Prayer in Spring. Until next week, stay safe, stay curious. The Devil's Ledger is an EVO production recorded live at Bel Air Studios in Los Angeles, California. For The Devil's Ledger, I'm your writer and host, Brandon Morgan.